So my wife gave me one simple job, and somehow I still messed it up. I don't know how this keeps happening. At this point, I think my wife gives me simple jobs just to confirm what she already believes about me, which is that I shouldn't be trusted with anything more dangerous than a spoon. She comes up to me all serious like it's a NASA mission and goes, all you have to do is pick up Owen thing from the store. And immediately I panic because now there's pressure. When she says on thing, I hear this is your entire marriage on the line. And here's the hook, I haven't even left the house yet. And I already feel like I've failed. I'm standing there nodding like I understand the assignment. But in my head, I'm like, I should write this down and maybe call someone smarter than me to confirm it. So I go to the store, which is already dangerous. Husbands should not be allowed in grocery stores alone. That place is like a trap. I walk in for Owen thing, and I walk out with stuff I didn't even know existed. Like, I bought a watermelon slicer. We don't even eat watermelons. I saw it and thought, well, this seems important. By the time I get home, I'm proud. I walk in like a hero returning from battle. I'm holding bags, plural, because I bought everything except the Owen thing she asked for. She looks at me with that face, you know, the face, the I love you, but also, how are you legally allowed to live on your own face? She goes, where's the item? And I'm like, I got this watermelon slicer though, which I think really elevates our home. And she just walks away. Doesn't even say a word. That's the worst. When your wife is silent, oh, that's when you know you've spiritually disappointed someone. And the truth is I tried. I really did. I had full intentions of getting it somewhere between walking in and getting distracted by a sale on family, sized everything. I lost my entire purpose in life. You ever notice how when your wife gives you one simple job, it somehow feels like the hardest assignment of your entire life? Like she'll walk over so casually, so confidently and say, hey, can you do one thing for me? And the moment she says one thing, I already know I'm in trouble. There's something about that phrase that immediately turns me into the most stressed out man in America. I don't know why. It's like she believes this is the moment I finally redeem myself. Meanwhile, I'm standing there thinking, why does she trust me? Has she met me? It's wild because the easier the job is, the more pressure there is not to mess it up. If she gave me a whole list, I'd feel less panic. But one thing, that's a trap. That's when you know the marriage exam has begun. The crazy part is she says it with so much confidence in me. She really believes I can do it. This woman has seen me fail at things no one else has ever failed at. Yet she continues to hand me tasks like she's giving me a second chance at life. She'll say, it's simple. And when my wife says that, I know it's not simple for me. She forgets I'm built differently, does not operate in the simple task category. My brain lives in the, you gave me instructions 5 seconds ago, now those instructions have legally evaporated category. But she believes in me anyway, which is honestly worse. Because now I feel obligated to live up to that imaginary version of me she thinks exists. And the hook here is the moment she gives me that job, I try way too hard not to fail. I suddenly get serious. I stand up straighter. Not like I'm entering a military briefing. I even squint a little like I'm focusing on a distant mountain. She's like, just grab the thing from the store. And I'm acting like she told me to deactivate a bomb. They're smart. I'll repeat it back to her 3 times just to make sure I heard it correctly. and somehow I'm still wrong. She'll say, get the almond milk, and 10 minutes later, I'm like, was it almond? Almondish, nut related. Count as a peanut, should I call her? Suddenly, everything becomes a life or death puzzle. Before I even leave the house, I've already lost confidence in myself. Inside my head, it's chaos. I'm rehearsing the task like I'm about to perform on Broadway. I'm checking my pockets for nothing important, just to feel responsible. You ever do that? You touch your pockets like you forgot something. You'd even know what you're supposed to have. I'll walk to the door, turn around 5 times, grab keys I already had, forget why I grabbed them, then stare at the wall like maybe the instructions will magically appear. My wife just stands there watching me spiral, probably thinking, why did I marry this? But she doesn't say anything. She just gives me that gentle, you can do it smile. And honestly, that smile is too much pressure. Because what if I can't do it? What if that one smile is the last known evidence of her believing in me? Everything in me wants to succeed, but I already know the journey ahead is dangerous. I haven't even stepped outside, and somehow the one simple job has already become the biggest challenge I'll face all week. And the worst part, I know she knows it too. The funny thing is, I panic before I even leave the house. Like the moment my wife gives me the job, I start preparing like I'm about to take the sights again. She'll say, just remember, 1 item, and instantly my heart rate goes up. I don't know why this happens. It's like my brain knows something she refuses to accept. I'm not built for missions. The hook here is that the simplicity of the task is the exact reason I know I'm gonna mess it up. I can feel the failure approaching, and I haven't even grabbed my keys yet. I'm standing there, nodding at her instructions like I'm a highly trained professional, but inside my head it sounds like a radio losing signal. She's talking slowly, making sure I hear every word, and I'm just hoping my face looks like someone who understands English. Try to act responsible because I want her to believe in me. But deep down I know the truth. My brain is already drifting. She says almond milk, and somehow my thoughts wander to things like, do almonds have families? Almond trees real? And by the time she finishes speaking, I'm staring at her like someone asked me to recite the national anthem in Spanish. Then she asks, did you get it? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, totally. What did you say again? And immediately the judgment begins, not out loud. My wife is smarter than that. But she has this face, this soft but terrifying face that says, I married someone who legally shouldn't be allowed to run errands. I take a deep breath like I'm calming myself before a performance. I pat my pockets for no reason, checking for items that aren't even required, just because I've seen responsible men do it. Grab my wallet, my phone, the keys, then forget where I put the keys even though they're in my hand. Then I walk toward the door, stop, turn around, walk back, because suddenly I think I missed a step. I ask myself, should I write this down? But I don't want her to know I need to write down something so small. That feels like admitting defeat. So instead, I pretend to review the instructions in my head, but I can't review something I didn't fully listen to in the first place. T is that everything becomes dramatic. I start imagining the trip to the store like a scene from an action movie. I'm preparing like a man who knows danger is coming. My wife is watching me with curiosity, probably wondering if I've ever successfully done anything alone. I try to reassure her, even though I'm not reassured myself. Give her a very fake confident smile, the type of smile people use when they're absolutely not okay. I say, I got this, which in my language translates to, I will forget this. Right as I'm leaving, she calls out, you remember what I said, right? And now I'm sweating because this is the final exam. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So I just say, yes, with the enthusiasm of someone who definitely doesn't know. And the second I step outside, that confidence evaporates. I close the door behind me and instantly question everything. Did she say almond milk? Normal milk? Was she even talking about milk? Whatever she said, gone. Completely vanished. That's the moment the panic becomes real, because now I know the mission has officially begun. I already no longer have the mission details. By the time I finally make it back home, feeling like a hero returning from war, I'm walking in with confidence, way too much confidence for a man who spent 40 minutes inside a grocery store to buy nothing that was actually required. I'm holding multiple bags, and that's the first red flag, because my wife only sent me out for one thing. Nothing about having 6 bags screams success. But in my head, I'm thinking she's going to be impressed. She'll think I took initiative. That's the hook. I think I've done something incredible, but deep down I know I've probably made the situation worse. I walk in smiling like I've solved world hunger. Meanwhile, I'm carrying items that absolutely nobody asked for. My wife looks at me, and I can see the hopeful spark in her eyes, like she's thinking maybe, just maybe, this time I actually pulled it off. I put the bags on the counter dramatically. I'm revealing treasures from a distant land. I start pulling things out, chips, cookies, a pineapple I don't know how to cut, and that ridiculous watermelon slicer. I'm showing her items like I'm presenting evidence in a courtroom. Look, honey, I found this on sale. As if a discount automatically excuses stupidity. She starts rummaging through the bags like a detective trying to figure out how a grown man could make this many wrong choices in such a short amount of time. She's doing it silently, which is way worse than yelling. Yelling at least feels like communication. Silence feels like disappointment settling into the walls of the house. She keeps checking each bag slower and slower. I can literally see the moment she realizes the one thing she asked for is not there. It's like watching a balloon deflate in real time. She looks at me. Not angry, not shocked, just confused. They're smart. The kind of confusion that makes you rethink your whole relationship. She doesn't even have to ask. Her face says it all. Where is the thing I actually needed? And I freeze because now I have to act surprised. I start pretending to look through the bags like maybe the item magically teleported into one of them. Holding up random nonsense, hoping she'll get distracted by how much money I saved on something nobody in our home has ever used. She doesn't care about the sales. She doesn't care about the pineapple. She wants the one thing she trusted me with. I didn't deliver. I try to casually shrug it off like it's not a big deal. I say things like, oh, maybe they were out of it, even though I didn't even go to that aisle. Then I add the classic husband excuse. They're smart. You know, the store was really crowded, which somehow I think will explain the complete absence of the only item she needed. The hook here is I keep talking, thinking words will magically fix everything, but every word just makes it worse. She finally stops me with that calm, scary voice wives use when they're deciding whether to laugh or leave. And I just stand there, grown man with a watermelon slicer in his hand, fully aware that I messed up the easiest mission in history, trying to convince both of us that I did my best, even though we both know I absolutely did not. The silence my wife gives me after I mess up is honestly the most powerful thing I've ever experienced. It's not regular silence. It's that very specific married silence where she doesn't have to say anything because the disappointment is so strong it practically has a sound of its own. You can feel it in the air like humidity. She just stands there looking at the bags, then looking at me, then back at the bags, like she's trying to figure out which part of the universe shifted to make her life go this way. And the hook is, silence from your wife is way more dangerous than any argument. When she yells, I know where I stand, it's clear, it's loud, it's understandable. But when she goes silent, that silence becomes this calm storm circling around the kitchen. Literally hear myself breathing too loudly. I start holding my breath because even my oxygen use feels disrespectful. She gives me that look, not angry, not upset, just quietly evaluating whether I should ever be trusted near a grocery store or a list or responsibilities in general. And that look hurts because it's accurate. It cuts deep in a way I can't defend myself against. You ever try to defend yourself when you know she's right? You can't. There's no comeback. There's no comedic spin. So I just stand there, trying to seem smaller, hoping if I shrink enough, she won't see me for a while. She'll pick up an item from the bag, like the watermelon slicer, turn it slowly in her hand like she's examining evidence from a crime scene. And I'm watching her, hoping the sheer novelty of the item will somehow distract her from the fact that the one thing she actually needed is nowhere in sight. Except she doesn't get distracted. She just looks at the slicer like, you spent money on this instead of the thing I actually needed. And there's nothing I can say. If I speak, I lose. I stay quiet, I still lose. Her silence becomes a monologue in my mind. I start imagining the things she would say if she chose to speak. Things like, how did you go out for one thing and come back with a fruit weapon? Or, did you black out somewhere between aisle 3 and 4? It's amazing how loud silence can be when your wife is the one using it. I begin over explaining even though she hasn't asked a single question. That's how powerful her silence is. She doesn't say anything, and suddenly I'm confessing to crimes she didn't even accuse me of. I'm like, the store was crowded. No, it wasn't. They moved things around, which they didn't. I think I was dehydrated, which makes no sense in a grocery store where 60% of the building is water. I start rambling because the quiet is too much for my ego to handle. Meanwhile, she's just staring at me, blinking slowly. Each blink erases another point from my adult credibility score. I can feel myself shrinking emotionally, spiritually, maybe even physically. And I realize in that moment, the silence isn't about the item anymore. It's about all the husbands before me and all the husbands who will come after me, who walked into a store with good intentions and walked out with absolutely nothing useful. It's generational disappointment. Now I'm part of the cycle. After that disaster, my wife stops trusting me with anything even remotely important. I don't blame her. She starts giving me simpler and simpler tasks, like testing my ability to stand still without causing chaos. She'll say things like, Nate, just stay here, which sounds ridiculously easy, but in my world is already a challenge. The hook is that even the simplest instructions are now somehow complicated for me, and she knows it. She's learned to calibrate my assignments to match my skill level, which means I am now officially a man whose responsibilities are measured in inches. I can water a plant, maybe, but only if it's already in the sink. She'll hand me a dish towel and say, "Just fold this." And I immediately panic. Is there a folding method? I'm supposed to know. Style. Even a grocery list for one item is now downgraded to her writing, "Almond milk. Please don't die trying." In capital letters, just to make sure I understand. Try to act confident, but the hook is that confidence is a fragile thing when your life is now monitored in tasks so basic a toddler could do them better. I start to realize she doesn't even need to supervise me. She just wants to see me survive one tiny mission without embarrassing myself. And somehow that tiny mission feels monumental. The real comedy comes when she slowly hands me more freedom again, but only in baby steps. "Nate, you can make the bed today?" She says, like she's issuing a presidential decree. I respond like it's a negotiation, standing there nodding, calculating in my head how much damage I can do before she notices. I know her style. She's watching me closely, like a scientist tracking an experiment that's gonna fail 95% of the time. I take the task seriously because I've learned from prior disasters, but the hook is that learning from disaster does not prevent disaster. I still find a way to mess it up. Maybe I put the blanket on backwards. Maybe I tuck in a pillow too aggressively. Maybe I start arranging things like a minimalist trying to send a message she doesn't understand. Every time I accomplish one tiny task, I feel like I've climbed Mount Everest in flip-flops. The applause comes later, when she casually mentions, "That looks good," and I'm internally celebrating like I just solved world hunger. She also implements checkpoints now, which is hilarious. I might be folding a towel. She appears from the hallway like a manager at a factory, inspecting my technique. I smile politely, pretending I know what I'm doing, but I know she sees the chaos brewing under the surface. And the hook is that she doesn't need to say anything. Her presence alone is enough to keep me honest. I've reached a level of responsibility where survival is considered success. I can carry a bag of groceries without buying 10 random items. I can put the dishes away without creating a new mess. Follow instructions as long as someone else confirms I'm still alive. Somehow, this is the new standard for my adult life. The funny part is that even in this tiny sandbox of responsibility, I manage to create tension. She'll test me subtly. "Nate, can you grab a cup of water?" And now it's a psychological battlefield. I walk slowly, carefully, measuring each step. I'm aware she's watching every micro movement. And I realize the hook. In all this, no matter how simple the task, I have permanently transformed from someone who could potentially manage a house to someone whose life now revolves around performing tiny miracles under the gaze of a quietly judging wife. Standing still becomes a victory, and somehow I've accepted that this is my superpower, my gift, my permanent destiny in marriage. So now, my wife doesn't even bother giving me real jobs anymore. She just hands me tasks so small, feel like a contestant on a game show for people who can't be trusted with scissors. She'll be like, "Nady, just stand there," and I do. Because honestly, even standing is an achievement at this point. And the crazy thing is, even when she gives me the tiniest, simplest task, I still find a way to make it dramatic, complicated, and absolutely wrong. But that's marriage, right? You try your best, fail spectacularly. Somehow, your wife still loves you enough to give you another chance with smaller responsibilities. I've learned that one simple job is never just one simple job. It's the start of a comedy show where I'm the main act. So now my wife gives me even easier jobs. She'll be like, "Nady, just stay right here. Don't move." I'll do it. And honestly, I think that's best for everyone, because apparently, even when she gives me one simple job, I'm still gonna find the most complicated way to mess it up.